Hmm. Yes, of course I'm ready. I wouldn't have hit okay if I wasn't ready, damn it. Everyone always asks if you're ready, and it's like, well, I wouldn't be in the game if I didn't just hit okay. Like, if I really was like, damn, I gotta take a dump, dude, I wouldn't have been here to, like, hit the ready button or something. But I guess they're being nice. You know, fuck me, right? For just assuming. Anyway, I guess I'm the asshole. So, that was pretty decisive. I think that Infested is actually, what's his nut's name? Love, Love is Love. Kyosuke. Kyosuke comes off the tongue a little easier than Love, Love is Love. I mean, try saying Love, Love is Love 3 times. I bet I could do it. Love, Love is Love, Love, Love is Love, Love, Love is Love. Oh, I fucked up at the end. Well, anyway, point being, that was like his main, I'm pretty sure. They want to play ladder. Oh boy. Fantastic. Ready? Yes, of course. It's like we've already asked ready like 3 times. Shit. So you're allowed to play 3 races, by the way, right? You don't. Nothing says you have to pick 2. It looks like Patcharo took out Infested. Maybe he didn't. He wasn't confident about his Infested. It was just something he had to. Uh, so okay, yeah, he got it right. I think he was a little unsure about the tournament rules. I think tournament rules are fine. Uh, I'm sorry. I'm just reading what they're saying. I'm getting mind fucked. You're like trying to read a conversation while talking about one. It can be annoying. Okay, so an early supply will stray into scout. He does not want to get proxied again by the looks of it. Unfortunately, he's very new, if I recall, Patcharo. I think he just started playing like a couple days ago, if that, right? So he's very new to the scene. He's probably not sure what everything does, but he does have some semblance of like how everything is going to work, like in terms of like an RTS, how things flow. Though he doesn't seem to quite understand, every little aspect of the game. And that's fine. It's hard to input or get those little bits of data against players who do know what to do with those little bits of data in deception. So it's kind of this thing, right? If you think about it. Also, we're just saying an early racks and gas here at a Wallen. I don't know if that's a. It's probably a tight Wallen. I remember for the add-on, so make a marine and then make a reactor or something. There's this thing, right, where if you're a completely crazy random newer player, you you generally don't have the same executional, like prowess as better players, but there's an element of unpredictability to you. Whereas, if you're kind of good, right, like oh yeah, that is not a wall, and I had a feeling. If you're kind of good, but like you understand like logically what you're supposed to do, that actually makes you more predictable because you're trying to emulate like a really precise, logical, high level style, right? But you end up, how do you say, you end up being more predictable because it's like, well, you're being logical, right? Whereas like you're still also a new player, so you can't necessarily execute generally quite as well as some other players. So that's always like a thing that can happen, because Patcharo is a logical individual who is following like pretty good sets of stuff. He ends up being predictable in that way because he's doing things that are kind of generally good, things that aren't crazy, right? But he's not quite doing them as well as a standard set of gameplay, if that makes sense. Also, we're just sort of waiting to see what people are going to do. Kyosuke did take that hatchery, and he is taking a third. So this is something that, I think you just take as much of an economic advantage as you can, right? And then you start trying to like beat up the other person, as opposed to necessarily dividing the map, getting more of the map for yourself, and playing a super late game as a macro game. Last game, Kyosuke kind of just took his natural much earlier and then started fighting, right? So that would be a good thing to see. We do see a factory and an armory here. So he could be going for some kind of early Hellion harass with the factory. It's a shame this isn't a Wallen. If he did get attacked by a lot of Zerglings, he would be in Frown Town. That's not the sort of place you want to be. Zerglings opening up the back here. So this will kind of make the ground route a little faster. He goes from here, up this, and over here. As opposed to having to go down and then up. Can save just a bit of time, I believe. So here we have overlords on both sides, just, in case there's a drop. But it looks like these Hellions are... Okay, yeah, Hellions, that's what they're called. I was like, I think those Hellbats or Hellions or something else. Essentially, fast harass unit on the ground. Kyosuke is going to be able to spot that with his Overlord and prepare a response. Looks like he made a sunken. Alright, so he could just go straight for some of these workers here, right? The heal is pretty good, and creep stops this because, you know, Zerg get natural advantages. That sunken really being mean, that's fine. Anything here? He does have another sunken, but it looks like he is getting some damage done here. A few workers killed, a good 2. So yeah, he's camping the sunken, that's kind of the way to do it. Though this is a lot of lost time in terms of economy, though he does have 2 bases admittedly. But sunkens can move. Well, that's something, isn't it? Alright, so... ooh. Okay. That's still there. Yeah, this doesn't seem like it's going to really get too far. He might want to just camp in the middle on a ramp or something. Oh, you can move the sunken, so that seems like it's going to be it. A good 5 workers killed and some Zerglings. So definitely a little bit done. Not sure if it's enough to completely counteract the fact that he has 2 bases on him. But here comes the extra base for Mr. Man, Patcharo. That's good. Third base here, they're kind of just get their bases very easily because you need to make hatcheries to produce things anyway. So that's always been something I found kind of weird. You know, like, they need their hatchery anyway, but it can also mine, so they just sort of get this inherent advantage. It also only costs 300 to build it, a hatchery, compared to like the 500 or 400 for what's their name? Every other race ever, I should say. But alas, it's fine. So that natural coming up again. The economy is a little disparaging, but that's fine. Ooh, 2 factories. Oh boy, mech. Okay, I love seeing me some mech, let me tell you. Now, I think going mech against Infested, or either of the Zergs, for that matter, is pretty hard, though not impossible. You might want to make a bunker in the front with these Marines. I don't know. I saw kind of a lot of units here, right, for a potential front door break. 10 Zerglings and 5 Hydralisks, so looks like he's just looking everywhere for something. Kyosuke just has little fucking dudes all over the place, making sure he's not susceptible to some silly proxy. So that's good. So he does have his natural up now. We're going to start seeing those incomes kind of equalize. There's an Overlord in the base. Might want to just like send 1 or 2 Marines against that. That's what I do. You don't want to overcommit, right? But you also don't want to just let him see your base. You can kill an Overlord. So yeah, a lot of patrolling here. All these little Zerglings that Kyosuke is using just to catch anything that could potentially happen, right? And it looks like he's not going for any sort of all-in or anything. Again, Kyosuke still with a lot of money here. Now he probably has this 3rd base mining because he makes workers and is a good player. And that's fine. He does have some upgrades coming up as well. Looks like he's getting those Hydros upgrades, getting this 4th base up. Whereas Patcharo is on 2. So I think a meching Terran can be really efficient with like a lot of tanks, for example, and a lot of these Cerberuses. Because, you know, they just really rip through any light units. And Hydrosks, I believe, are not considered light. They're just considered a normal unit. Well, they can become armored with the killer adaptation. So they'll actually take more from siege tanks in that case. So pretty much, we're thinking math here, okay? When the siege tank comes out, we're going to do some serious math. But as it stands, you basically weaken them with the Hellions, right? They just put a big line of crap on dudes, right? 7 damage. And then the siege tank goes into siege mode, and then it'll kill those things in 1 hit, right? Here we see an overseer just scouting. It looks like he's going to see the double mech. And this is going to give Kyosuke probably some indication of how to handle this however he wants. I think the best way for Zerg to handle mech is, or I say Swarm, shouldn't say Zerg. Swarm is to just take more expansions, because usually the push is slower, though this is kind of a mixed bag, right? He also has some Hellions behind it, so these Hellions can really put out the deeps in a line, at least, against certain units. Whereas the Marines and medics can stay up front and just, you know, do general damage as well as tanking damage. So this is a good maneuver. I would say he should probably go up here, but again, he doesn't know. He doesn't have all the information, right? So he does have the Infernal Pre-Igniters, so you have a lot of damage versus light units here, right? Like, you know, these Hydras, they're not so scary. Just buck them up! Yeah, there we go. That's what you want to see. The hatchery does just let people heal their stuff, though. And he's spreading out a bit. We don't see a ton of units. He is making a lot of, like, units now, but he's going to lose this base. And God, this is what we want to see, right? A real match. We don't want to see someone just get out macroed and lose. This is good. Oh, you might want to get out now. That's fine. You know, he took out the base. As long as he doesn't die to the counterattack here, he should be fine. Right? So now it's just back down to 3 bases. No more cheeky shit. No more free base for Kyosuke. He came out of his shell and he punched him in the face. He's not going to be bullied around. That's good. That's exactly the type of thing that I want to see. So he's going to be remaking that hatchery. He's going to go for that economic advantage. But now, the economic advantage, not so bad. Let's have a look here. He is almost doubling him, but I think this is okay in the case of Terran and this, you know, really efficient mech build, right? Those tanks and the Cerberus need to be very efficient units because of due to how slow they are. So even though he does have less money, which is always like not as good as having more money, granted, he also has some Marines back here. I wonder if he knows about that. You can still be efficient, right? And that's why we should make sure the mech doesn't get nerfed more and more, because the point of mech is that they are slow but efficient for where they are. So if he has a radiate, he does not have a radiate. So these Mutalisks actually could be quite a bit of trouble here. Kyosuke is he at Hive Tech? No, he's still at Lair. So those Mutalisks are there. He does have a turret in the back, so he can potentially grab his guys and move back there. He doesn't have a lot of Goliath, or he's not playing Raiders. Pfft, look at me. He doesn't have a lot of Marines or anything here. He does have quite a few tanks, which are good, and no irradiate, sadly. That's really what you want to see, right? Isn't a radiate to go? Oh, there it is. I'm sorry, he did research a radiate. My mistake. Okay, so he does have a radiate. He just split those mutas. Unfortunately, the tanks cannot shoot up into the air. This is not Planet Side 2, where tanks can just shoot aircraft for some reason. He does get a Viking. This is good. This is something that can, you know, kind of chase the Mutalisks around a bit and have a bit more mobility. He probably has the quick regenerating upgrade here for his mutas. There is something here. Rapid regeneration. Oh, it does take Terrazine. Huh. I guess he doesn't have that yet. It does take quite a bit of gas, so it looks like we have another ground push. This one is perhaps a bit more ill-advised. I suspect Mutalisks, Zerglings, and Hydralisks are all out in abundance. Before, Kyosuke was being cheeky, and he's like, fuck this guy, I don't need to make units. But now he's made units. He's also attacking him. So this sort of attack, I think, is better left towards perhaps getting a third, you know? But now he's doing another attack, going out. But he is, in a way, behind, economically speaking. Med advantage might not be so bad in terms of the defensive, but in terms of the offensive, it's going to be very difficult due to the strength of siege tanks and the clunkiness of them. They can easily get swarmed and surrounded here. They're not sieged up. They're not in their ideal position, whereas in a defensive position, those siege tanks could have potentially, you know, held right here, got this base up, and, you know, been able to hold against something over here. Sadly, doesn't seem to be the case. It looks like, again, he doesn't have, like, okay, his standing army, for reference, is 3 Marines and 3 Vikings against 43 Zerglings, 34 Hydralisks, 6 Mutalisks. So this does not look promising for good old Patcharo here. Though, you know, he put up a good fight. I like to see the variants, the kind of mech play, though he doesn't realize in Heptacraft, mech is not good. I'm sort of joking, but sort of not. It's definitely very difficult to do, especially against things like this. But the openings and all that, it's difficult to say. The mech is very hard to stand by. I think you always need a bit of Marines in StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2, Heptacraft, whatever the case may be. In Brood War, we didn't necessarily see that. We could see Terran go full mech against it. Not that this is Brood War. But it looks like, yeah, those units are just going to come in. There's not a lot he could do. He could fight. He does have a Thor out, but he does not... Oh, you don't need energy for Barrage. He almost got it! Son of a bitch! That'd have been cool to see. Even if he did get the Barrage off, though, sadly, there's a lot of little dots on the map. About 4 bases. He's going up to a 5th there at the bottom left. So that was cool. It was a good showing, right? Like, he didn't go down without a fight. He did not go down without a fight. That's what's important. He went out and he punched him in the face, and then I think if he pulled back and saved some of those units, you know, he'd have been fine. Maybe got his own thirds. That was great. Alright, let's see here. Let's have a look at the chat here. You like spend Q? No, we're fine. No one sounds dumb.